Chapter 6, Day 5. After what felt like the longest weekend of my life, I was finally able to get some questions answered on Day 5. Unfortunately, I also had 100 or so new unanswered questions. It was on that day that I met with my surgeon, Dr. Leckman. I could sense immediately that he was a kind man. I also felt that he was very knowledgeable about the surgeries that I would need and that he was an expert in his field. I would be in good hands. He made me feel completely at ease, even though my heart was pounding out of my chest. Mark was not able to come with me to meet with Dr. Leckman. He had a business trip that was scheduled months before our little world came crashing down, and it could not be changed. So I did the next best thing and took my mom to the appointment with me. We also called Mark and put him on speakerphone. First, Dr. Leckman did a physical examination and took a brief history of what was going on. Then he shared with us the results of the MRI. It was not great news. The MRI showed that the tumor measured about 29 millimeters, which was double the size the ultrasound had shown. There was a little glimmer of hope when he said that, according to the MRI, there appeared to be nothing in my left breast. Whew. My lymph nodes looked clear as well. Double whew. Dr. Leckman told me that I had lobular carcinoma, which meant that the cancer originated in the milk-producing lobes of my breast. My cancer was a grade 2 cancer. I'd always heard about cancer stages, but had never heard of a cancer grade. The grade of the cancer basically tells you how aggressive it is. Since mine at grade 2 was smack dab in the middle, it wasn't super aggressive, but it wasn't going to just lie down and be lazy either. There was really no way of knowing for sure how my cancer started. I was young. There was no known history of breast cancer in my family. I have since learned that 1 in every 8 women will be affected by breast cancer during their lifetime. 1 in 8. That is a staggering statistic, and it confirms in my mind that having a history of breast cancer is not your one and only risk factor. I also know that it doesn't matter how old you are either. Breast cancer can happen to anyone, male or female, healthy or unhealthy. Here comes another plug for self-breast exams. You're not immune. And of course, you never think it's going to happen to you. Just do it anyway. Now that we had some basic information about the tumor, we could proceed with some treatment options. However, before we proceed too far, Dr. Leckman wanted to perform a gene test to determine if I was a carrier for either of the 2 known breast cancer genes at the time, BRCA1 or BRCA2. I think it's safe to say that the gene test was the easiest part of this whole process. Just swish a little mouthwash around in your mouth and spit in a vial. That's it. Then it would be sent off to a lab to see if one of those gene mutations was lurking around in my system. The nurse said that typically the gene test would take up to a month before the results came back. A month? My brain screamed. Are you kidding me? No way was I going to wait a whole month. I needed answers now. Dr. Leckman assured me that he could have the results back in a week, 2 at the most. I guess a week was better than a month, but I was dying inside. It was not the time frame that I wanted to hear. Why was this test so important, you might ask? Well, I basically had 2 options for course of treatment. The option we chose would largely depend on the results of the test. Option number 1. If the gene test came back positive, saying that I was a carrier of either of the BRCA genes, then I would have to say goodbye to the girls, both of them, because having a breast cancer gene would make the probability of developing cancer in my other breast skyrocket. Having a double mastectomy would be the best option to prevent the cancer from showing up in my left breast. Also, as part of this treatment method, I would probably need a hysterectomy as well. Again, the BRCA genes are nasty, and along with causing breast cancer, they could also cause ovarian cancer as well. Needless to say, I was not too pleased with option numero uno. Option 2. If the gene test came back negative, Dr. Leckman would start with a lumpectomy, where he would remove the lump and some surrounding tissue. They would send the tumor and tissue to the lab to see if my margins were clear, or, in layman's terms, to see if the cancer was in any of the surrounding tissue. Because a lobular carcinoma tumor likes to be tricky, this option would still leave me with the possibility of losing my entire right breast. I would have to do some radiation therapy with this option as well. Both options would include the removal of some lymph nodes for testing. The pathology reports would tell us what stage my cancer was and if there was any cancer present in those lymph nodes. Depending on those results, we would know whether my treatment plan would include chemotherapy or some form of hormonal therapy. Excerpt from my journal. Wow. I really cannot believe I'm writing this in first person. I feel like I should be talking about someone else. It still doesn't feel totally real to me. I guess it won't feel real until surgery day. End of quote. My mom and I left Dr. Leckman's office in stunned silence. There was so much information to digest, and I was having a hard time swallowing it all. During the next few days, I found it very hard to concentrate on anything, even simple tasks like doing the dishes. I tried hard to keep myself occupied, but mostly I just felt like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode.